we have here today?
Hello. Hi. My name is Jody. I have a few herbs that we've picked freshly at the Jungle Bay Resort. I work at the Bamboo Spa, but I also do something called a herbal tea presentation where we gather different herbs from around the property and our guests get the opportunity to make their own tea concoction. Whether that may be just from the taste that you may like or perhaps for some medical ailments, we have a herb here for you. Okay, so for example, I think most of us are familiar with cinnamon, but we're not familiar with the cinnamon leaf. Go. So the cinnamon leaf, you can utilize it the same way that you would use the cinnamon bark. It's great for circulation. Some individuals may use the cinnamon oil in its diluted form, of course. If you want to get rid of any type of bugs or any type of insects or pests, we can also use a little bit of bay leaf, which I think most of us are familiar with. So the bay leaf, the cinnamon can be used in your tea. Aids with antimicrobial uses. So you can also use it to cleanse areas. So for example, if you're looking for a natural disinfectant, you can go ahead and use some bay leaf. Another herb that we can utilize is called ilang ilang. It's called ilang ilang. Ilang ilang is known as a perfume plant. So these perfume plants, if you like, you can take a little smell of it. Okay, so the ilang ilang, it smells great, right? You see why we call it the perfume plant. Okay, so the ilang ilang is actually used as an aphrodisiac. You may enjoy it. Normally, I recommend one sweetener, the amount that I gave you earlier on, for your tea. And the reason for that, it tends to be overpowering, but in my opinion, it does the aphrodisiac properties quite well. So just one. If you feel like it, you can go ahead and add the entire bunch, but I promise you don't need all of that, okay? Nice. Here we have some hibiscus shampoo. Probably growing up in Dominica, you might have used this in your hair. Perhaps your hair might be a little bit on the drier side, especially if you have more natural, coarse hair, and you're looking for something without any type of sulfates to help cleanse your hair. You can go ahead, you grab your hibiscus, you crush it up just like this. You can run it through a cheesecloth, and the remaining you just apply it to your hair, and it helps to cleanse your hair without overly stripping it. Okay, nice. You can see it's a little bit messy, but that's fine. You use a bowl or something you don't really worry about, and you make your nice hibiscus shampoo. Another herb I can probably show you. Here we have neem. So I think most of us are familiar with neem, especially if you do any type of gardening. You may use neem to get rid of any type of pests that your garden may have gotten. You can probably take a little smell of the neem. Okay, so neem does smell like green, but is the most antibacterial and antimicrobial out of all of the herbs on the table. So the neem can be used for oral hygiene. Perhaps you may have gotten some type of bacterial infection. You can use neem for that purpose as well. Okay. Another herb that you can use is perhaps soursop. I think most of us in Dominica are familiar with the properties of soursop. There you go. Just take a little smell of it. It smells green as well, right? But the soursop is quite popular, especially if you need something for insomnia. You use about one leaf, and that should just help you just fall asleep, right? Just one leaf. One leaf is perfectly fine. Some individuals might use soursop topically as well. So perhaps you may have gotten some type of heat rash. You can use the soursop, crush it up, put it in your bath water, and it helps to just soothe the skin. Okay? So here you can see that I have a nice cup of tea right here. So this is bougainvillea with a little bit of cinnamon. All you see that I just pour some hot water in there and I let it steep for at least 5 minutes. And then you can go ahead, if you like, you can scoop out. And here you have the most pretty, the most beautiful cup of tea. Okay? So you just scoop it out. If you like, you can add a sweetener, that's fine. I personally prefer my tea without any type of sweeteners in there, and you can enjoy. You may be asking, what's the properties of the bougainvillea? So this is the bougainvillea plant, if you are not aware. So we would use the petals of it in our tea. And the reason we would use it, if you're looking for something with milder pain relief, or if you have a mild fever, you can go ahead and use some bougainvillea. And I'm sure most of you probably have a bougainvillea plant at home. Yeah, and you can utilize it. Another
I see you have the hibiscus flowers.
Oh, yes. So the hibiscus flowers, believe it or not, they are quite edible. Would you like to try one? Sure. Of course.
I remember using it for shampoo.
Ah, yes, you do use the hibiscus for
It's
shampoo.
nice.
Yeah. Here you go.
Oh yeah, I
You guys can try it. Okay. So the hibiscus, it is edible, but it does have antibacterial properties in there as well. Okay? It doesn't have much of a taste, so you can go ahead, probably use it as garnish, and you don't have to necessarily worry about any type of additives or preservatives. You know, a lot of times we decorate our cakes, for example, and you may add a little bit of food coloring in there. Some individuals might find that might be, you know, not the best thing, so you can add a few hibiscus on there, okay? So as you mentioned, we do have hibiscus shampoo. We did make some here. Yeah. So,
Yes.
so you guys can go ahead and feel our hibiscus shampoo. It's supposed to be the same texture as aloe vera.
Yeah, it feels
I remember this. I remember this.
Yeah. So remember, we don't add it to the hair directly like this, okay? We ensure you pass it through a cheesecloth or perhaps an older t-shirt, and you just apply it to your hair, especially us young ladies before a nice curly hair texture, right?
It's my shiny.
Okay. So early on, I was mentioning the ilang ilang. I believe the gentleman got a little footage of the ilang ilang.
It smells so amazing.
Oh yes, it does. Yes. So this is the ilang ilang plant, and it's also known as the perfume plant. So when you're using the ilang ilang, I normally recommend one sleeve. Okay. So the reason for this, it tends to be quite overpowering. If you use more than this, what happens is it tends to overpower your cup of tea. Okay. A lot of people use it to make themselves ilang ilang.
And today is Wellness Day, as per Discover Dominica Authority and the Ministry of Tourism. So happy Wellness Day, and I do hope that you guys are having a wonderful morning. And I thank you so much for your patience, attention, and for interacting with our beautiful space. On behalf of the Ministry of Tourism and Discover Dominica Authority, I am pleased to welcome you to today's panel discussion on the topic, Wellness Tourism in Dominica, a destination that benefits everyone. But before I go further, permit me to welcome here this morning Mr. Claudius Lestrade, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Ms. Marva Williams, the Director of Tourism and Chief Executive Officer of Discover Dominica Authority, the members of the Wellness Tourism Advisory Committee who is here, our Destination Marketing Manager, Ms. Wendy Lake, management and staff of the Ministry of Tourism, Discover Dominica Authority, IC staff and students of the Dominica State College, members of the media, and all of you tuned in via the various media. Thank you very much for joining us on radio and on social media. And if you're an invited guest, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. My name is Monel Alexis. I'm the Public Relations and Communication Specialist for Discover Dominica Authority. This morning, I will chair the introduction and later I will moderate the panel discussion. Today's discussion supports the year's engagement theme, which is Be Well in Nature. It will bring together professionals from the wellness and tourism sectors to explore how wellness tourism can create opportunities for our communities, businesses, residents, all while contributing to Dominica's tourism product. To officially commence today's program, it is my pleasure to invite the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Claudius Lestrade, to deliver the opening remarks. Mr. Lestrade.
Good morning, everybody. Ms. Marva Williams, Director of Tourism and Chief Executive Officer of the Discover Dominica Authority, members of the Wellness Tourism Advisory Committee, distinguished panelists, management and staff of the Ministry of Tourism and Discover Dominica Authority, staff and students of the Dominica State College, members of the media, good morning, and to those listening on our DBS Radio, Kyrie FM, and those joining us through MO News and other forms of digital media. Good morning again. It is a pleasure to join you today for this panel discussion, Wellness Tourism in Dominica, a destination that benefits everyone. I would like to thank the Discover Dominica Authority for organizing this event as part of Tourism Awareness Program 2026, and Jungle Bay Resort and Spa for hosting us this morning. This discussion supports this year's Tourism Awareness Program engagement theme, Be Well in Nature, and provides an opportunity to examine the role wellness tourism can play in creating benefits for communities, businesses, and the wider economy. Last week, during the launch of Tourism Awareness Program 2026, I spoke about this year's theme, positioning Dominica through wellness tourism, and the opportunity it presents for our country. As I noted then, wellness tourism aligns naturally with Dominica's strengths. Wellness has long been recognized in the sector, and many of the experiences now associated with wellness tourism have existed in Dominica for decades. From our hot springs and wellness retreats to our herbal traditions, fresh local foods, and opportunities for immersion in nature, wellness has long been a part of Dominica's experience. Today's discussion is therefore not about introducing wellness tourism. Rather, it is about examining how we can continue to develop, strengthen, and position this important area of our tourism product. To support this effort, the ministry recently instituted a Wellness Tourism Advisory Committee comprising stakeholders from across the wellness and tourism sectors. The committee was established to provide guidance, encourage collaboration, and support the continued advancement of wellness tourism in Dominica. Its role is to help ensure that development within the sector remains coordinated, sustainable, and responsive to the needs of both the industry, stakeholders, and the communities we serve. The committee's work will also be strengthened by the ideas, experiences, and perspectives shared through discussions such as today's. The theme for this panel reminds us that wellness tourism in a destination is a destination's opportunity that can benefit everyone. The benefits extend beyond hotels and tourism businesses. They can create value for wellness practitioners, farmers, entrepreneurs, artisans, transportation providers, accommodation operators, and communities whose products, services, and experiences contribute to the visitor journey. As we continue to advance the sector, it is important that the benefits remain connected to our people and support sustainable economic opportunities across the island. The future of wellness tourism in Dominica will depend on continued collaboration among government, industry stakeholders, communities, and the citizens. Today's discussions provide us with an opportunity to share ideas, strengthen partnerships, and identify practical ways to build on the strong foundation that already exists. I thank our panelists for their willingness to contribute to this important conversation. I encourage everyone to engage fully in the discussion and to consider how we can collectively continue strengthening Dominica's position as a leading wellness destination. I wish you all a productive and insightful discussion. Thank you and muchas gracias.
Thank you, PS, and muchas gracias to you too. We appreciate your remarks and you officially setting the stage for today's discussion. As we have heard, wellness tourism is an important pillar for us at the Ministry of Tourism and Discover Dominica Authority. To help us explore this morning's topic, we have assembled a distinguished panel representing various aspects of the wellness and tourism sectors. At this time, I would like to invite our panelists to take their seats. Dr. Paula Lockhart. Our first panelist, Dr. Paula Lockhart, is a researcher, author, and natural wellness educator whose work focuses on community wellness, sustainable human development, and the preservation of Caribbean plant knowledge. She's a co-author of the book Natural Plant-Based Remedies, Your Gateway to Health, Healing, and Well-Being. She has dedicated much of her work to promoting wellness awareness, sustainable living, and healthy communities through education and outreach. She is joining us via Zoom this morning. Please let's welcome Dr. Paula Lockhart. Our next panelist is... Good morning. Our next panelist is Renaud Deschamps. He's a naturopath, herbalist, and president of the Dominica Herbal Business Association. Originally trained in pharmacy, he later dedicated his career to herbal medicine, nutrition, and the preservation of traditional Caribbean healing knowledge. With more than 25 years of experience in natural wellness, he's a respected advocate for plant-based health and holistic approaches to well-being. He's the co-author of the book Natural Plant-Based Remedies. He's also the founder of Roots Herbal Remedies, and that is his way of preserving our culture heritage for years to come. Please let's welcome to the stage Mr. Deschamps. Joining the panel is Antonina Kinina. She's a wellness and entertainment manager at Intercontinental Dominica Cabrits Resort and Spa. With nearly 20 years of international experience in yoga, meditation, and wellness programming, she has worked across Europe and the Middle East, designing transformative wellness experiences for diverse audiences. She currently leads wellness initiatives that contribute to Dominica's growing reputation as a wellness destination. Please let's welcome Miss Antonina Okinina. Our next panelist is Ellen Joseph. She's a creator, guide, and lead wellness consultant at the Rejuvenator natural-based wellness experience right here, or rather it is Rejuvenature naturally balanced wellness experience right here at Rosalie Bay Eco Resort and Spa. As a wellness educator, consultant, and US licensed massage therapy trainer, she has developed wellness experiences that blends Dominica's natural environment, traditional wellness knowledge, and contemporary wellness practices. Through her work in wellness tourism and community wellness education, she continues to promote authentic approaches to well-being rooted in the nature island. Please welcome Ellen Joseph. Our final panelist is Marva Williams, the Chief Executive Officer and Director of Tourism at Discover Dominica Authority. A highly accomplished tourism executive and marketer, she leads the strategic development and promotion of Dominica's tourism sector, including efforts to strengthen wellness tourism as one of the country's key tourism pillars. Her work continues to advance Dominica's position as a leading destination for nature, culture, adventure, and wellness experiences in the Caribbean. Please welcome Ms. Marva Williams. Please join me in welcoming all the panelists for the discussion this morning. Good morning, panelists. Good morning once again, and welcome to our panel discussion. The topic, wellness tourism in Dominica, a destination that benefits everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout the next hour, we'll go through the discussion with the panelists, and then we'll open the floor for questions and comments from the audience. I would like to begin with a broad question for all our panelists. When we talk about wellness, we often think about organized programs, retreats, or wellness experiences. But what does wellness look like in everyday Dominican life? We'll start with you, Paula.
Good morning again. I'm Dr. Lockhart, and wellness looks like fresh food, herbal teas. Wellness is not something that we're going to invent or share with tourists. Wellness is how we live the generation. Natural wellness. So wellness is herbal teas or our grandparents. Natural wellness is those strong family and community relationships we have. It's the time we spend in nature, by the river, down at Bubble Beach, playing in the fields, seeing the mountains around us. When you're in the playing field, the mountains is right there, the sea is right there. Nature and wellness is all around us. So it's the faith, the culture, the movement, the music, the storytelling, that sense of belonging we have in Dominica. So really, wellness in our everyday life is living in harmony with ourselves, with our community, with nature, and with God. That is wellness in our everyday life.
Hold your thoughts.
Wellness in my everyday existence, being in Dominica, I'll first consider the fresh air from the mountains that we breathe. Without the fresh air and oxygen, life can't be sustained. And we have this as a unique product. But wellness is not just a term, in my opinion. It is more profound. It can be considered having the ability to go in your backyard and harvest a plant, a herb, that can have some therapeutical impact, whether on your mental state or your physical state. So it's actually the ability to express the harmony and the energy that you are surrounded with. The plants, as I mentioned, the flora, the trees, and the animals. So wellness comprises all of these components, and with your conscious being mentally healthy and physically healthy, harmony, surrounds you. So for me, that's what wellness means.
Thank you, Ronald. Ellen, your thoughts?
Oh, I thought you tripped me up. So, wellness in Dominica, for me personally in a daily living, it's knowing what my body needs and making sure that my ecosystem, my space supports that. So every given day you can get up and feel differently. Today you will get up and you'll feel vital, you'll feel refreshed. And like 2 days from now, you get up and you feel like you really need those restorative treatments. You maybe need a massage at Rosalie Bay, to really get you feeling like you have some life again. So it depends on how you feel and what your body is experiencing. And then, of course, the conscious awareness as to what is going on, then you utilize what's in your ecosystem. And Dominica has a lot, as Deja and Paula have been saying. If you're having anxiety this morning and your heart is racing and your head is starting to pound and you know what's waiting for you, you are having the experience before you even leave the door. So this is where self-awareness and conscious choice is part of wellness as well. Like, what are you choosing? And so based on your choice, you can calm yourself down, get your nervous system to kind of give you a break. You can clear your mind. You can do your diaphragmatic breathing, your breath work. The trees are nourishing you as you breathe because you're right there as part of your ecosystem. And all of this actually is doing its own work in you. The onus on you is to allow it. So breathe deeply. Have intentional thoughts. Don't overthink. Don't create situations that you're scared of. This is part of wellness.
Thank you. Antonina?
Thank you so much. I will build on that. I also had a similar answer. For me, for people in Dominica, the wellness would look like waking up in the morning and really be awake to the blessings that are around, to resources that there are already present, to build on them based on their deepest dreams that they have for their own and their community, to make those choices every day that are aligned with personal dreams and the dreams of the community, and cut off things that drain from those blessings. So that would be my understanding.
Thank you. Marva?
Thank you. This is a brilliant question. And to feedback on what the other panelists just said, wellness for us in Dominica, it is not a trend. It is not something that we suddenly woke up and figured, hey, wellness is working globally, maybe we should try it. Wellness has been with us from generations before. And it has been passed on by our grandparents, from our parents, and it has to do with the traditional lifestyles that we all know. It has to do with nutrition. I remember as a child, you had to drink the herbal teas before you started school for the year. There were the plants outside that your parents would use to wash your hair. And sometimes you would hear them say, you need to take a river bath to get rid of the cold and the flu. Or sometimes you would hear your parents say that, you need to take the baby for an early morning walk so the baby can feel rejuvenated in the fresh air. That is what we've always had in Dominica, and that is what speaks to our nutrition. It speaks to the rest that we talk about, and it speaks to a social balance in terms of our mental capacity. And that in essence is what our wellness is in Dominica, and that is what we're inviting the world to experience. It is a historic, traditional way of living that still exists, that has given us so many centenarians and allows us to feel rejuvenated. Some of us don't even realize how blessed we are to wake up to trees and fresh air, and that is just what wellness is for us in Dominica. It's part of us and it exists whether we want it to or not.
Thank you for your responses. Based on what we've heard, it is clear that wellness has been part of Dominica's culture and still remains. Dr. Paula Lockhart's question: many of the practices we now associate with wellness have existed in Dominica for generations. What aspects of our way of life naturally supports wellness?
Wow. Well, that's a simple question to answer because our life is here that the brand of wellness we have here in Dominica is natural wellness. We're surrounded by wellness. So for me, and from what I've seen and understood and experienced, what naturally supports wellness here in Dominica is that culture of living with the outdoors. You know, that going outside and walking, eating fresh fruits and vegetables, eating natural foods, and using herbs. At least that's what it's supposed to be. You know, using and building on our traditional herbal knowledge that's been passed down. You know, having the support from community networks. Because our mind has to be in tune, our spirituality, our whole being. It's all about a holistic, a complete natural awareness of who we are with nature. That's what Dominica should be, and that's what wellness tourism should reflect as we go forward. So having those community networks, having that support, that connection to nature, those guides. And you know, the slower pace of life, because you mentioned what naturally supports wellness, that slower pace of life is supposed to have. Not the rushing. That will support our calmness. You know, taking time to breathe in the clean air. You know, even our spiritual tradition, our emotional and mental well-being, we have to work hard towards that to keep it. And those things will be what naturally supports our wellness.
Thank you. Reynold, as a herbalist, your thoughts?
We are considered to be a people that are laid back, a people that don't keep time. That narrative has been circulating from a while. But it is misinterpreted. One of the key aspects of wellness that we have naturally is being less of a busybody, meaning that mentally, Dominicans are very relaxed by our very nature. And why are we very relaxed? The environment that we live in. We don't have the pollutions like the first world countries with all those industrial developments. You could simply walk by the river and the breeze that flow through your ear, women.
And you too.
And me too, yes. You may take it for granted, but it is therapeutical. So what exists in Dominica is that calmer, that peace of mind that you can get in every corner, even in the city that should be congested and polluted. You can still find a river to get some breeze. And it's lamentable also that I can mention all these pristine and unique resources that we have, but are we preserving them? Because that's my duty, to preserve these elements, these resources that is priceless, and it is irreversible. If we lose it, we can't regain it. So preservation is one of the key elements that we need to consider to keep Dominica as the haven of calm and tranquility and serenity, and a place where mental illness will not thrive. But the simple breeze of the river in your ear.
Thank you. Marva, I saw you smiling. Any thoughts?
I'm just thinking of what he's saying and how it's being said, because I believe oftentimes, and in my conversations with people overseas who have never been to Dominica, when they think about wellness, I think they think about, you know, this beautifully created environment and spas. And they start to understand the wellness that Dominica contributes when you're on the plane coming in and you see all the trees, when you're on the boat coming in and you can bask into the ruggedness of the destination. And then when you get there, you understand that Dominica is a place where you get away from the busy schedules that some of my colleagues spoke about, and it gets you away from the digital fatigue. And it's not only the natural environment, there are God-made resources within that environment that you can use to bring out that wellness. So let's just break it down a bit. When we talk about adventure, Dominica has the longest hiking trail in the Caribbean, and that's the Waiti Kubuli National Trail. With 14 segments, you can decide how it is that you want to, you know, exercise and just take a walk and breathe in and rejuvenate in nature. And then we go back to the fact that we're volcanic and what it is that we've been able to get from that. We have the sulfur spas. Sulfur spas are seen as therapeutic and as well as a rejuvenation for your body. And not only taking in the river breeze, but even being able to just naturally walk into any river with no fear and have a river bath. Being able to go into your backyard and pick the leaves of the guava leaves or the mango or the soursop, you know, and being able to just drop that in a cup of water and drink some tea and feel better about yourself. These are the things that people get to experience when they come to Dominica, and it surprises them because that is not what they would have anticipated as wellness. And that is why we have to be very authentic when we present Dominica out there as a wellness destination. Show them the true authentic wellnessism, if I should say that, of Dominica, you know, and allow them to come in and have that realistic experience.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Antonina, what are visitors most surprised to discover about wellness experiences in Dominica?
Well, I'm sure everybody heard it before. It's very authentic. It's like nothing else, even if you compare it to the islands around. And I would say that there is a specific type of a tourist that is our, like, Dominican tourist, which is appreciates this rawness over the luxury things. And the other thing is that I find tourists always highlight the part that tourist experience in Dominica is extremely personal, right? You can have a kind of experiences like nowhere else. If you get a guide will be your friend. If you even sometimes get a taxi driver, the taxi driver is your friend. It's a person who can stop somewhere with you to admire the nature and then move on. You don't have that over-commercialized hustle, and that's a great value.
Thank you. Ellen, you interact with visitors very often. What are your thoughts?
I would say that the areas that I believe Dominica would embrace wellness tourism even more is really going into the local communities and encouraging us an environment that they too can feel that they can participate in the development of wellness tourism in Dominica. So somebody who, say for example, they're known for doing their stuff in their backyard, whether that's roasting breadfruit and incorporating some greens and something with coconut. So they know what they're doing when it comes to the nutrition aspects, but they're not seen. They're not really heard outside of their local space. Yet for a tourist experience, like beyond measure, a tourist would love this because it connects them to a real person. The content footage on this, of course, is extraordinary, and they love the content stuff. You know, some of them do that more. And they can feel it in their heart, so they carry it home with them as a feeling because they actually had a lived experience versus just maybe got a treatment there and left, or maybe just had a meal that was part of a menu and left, you know what I mean? Having that authentic Dominica exchange is very important for us to have our local people rise up to meet that, because that is a market and we cannot not have those levels in the whole thing as well.
Your responses raise an important point that Dominica, our wellness offerings, sets us apart as a destination. Reynold, which wellness experiences, practices, or traditions do you believe are uniquely Dominican and deserving of greater recognition?
Man says always performed. May not be the common answer. As a practitioner, having persons come to me for treatment, one of the words I'll use is healing. They experience healing. Because the evidence of disease, it is not hidden. It is not isolated to Dominica. The world is sick, the globe is sick. And we have everything to rejuvenate you from a cellular level. So healing is the one word that amplified. Total healing. Mentally, physically, spiritually. This is the greatest experience that I've heard from persons that have visited Dominica, and they may have come in ill. And in a few months, they return healed. Ill to heal. That's my greatest experience.
Thank you, Reynold. Dr. Lockhart?
Yes, ma'am. So you asked what do we believe is this greater recognition and this unity Dominica, right?
Yes.
So for me, I can find that Mr. Deva just spoke and I partnered with him full disclosure for a number of years. We actually wrote 2 books together because Dominica has all these natural resources that a lot of people don't make use of and a lot of them didn't love. So I would follow what he just said, that what this greater recognition here, which is traditional and uniquely Dominican, it's hard to find other places that we have it in the context. How to prepare things, wellness preparation. And we're losing that knowledge. That's actually why myself and the partner to write those 2 books. Just, that immersion in nature, and that community-based tradition, those things, connecting to our families, and connecting with elders, with herbalists, with farmers, with traditional healers. That culture, that tradition of wellness, that is uniquely ours, and that's something we are moving away from and we're losing. So we definitely need to give that greater recognition. And particularly in terms of the stewardship and conserving what we have, we need to conserve our environment. Because if we don't conserve the environment, this whole conversation we're having right now is futile. It's a walk. Because that's where our nature and our wellness come from what we have naturally. And if we don't conserve it and preserve it, we will lose it. So we need to recognize the importance of conservation and preservation. And that's what's unique here with us, what we have and what we need to conserve. Our nature, our traditions.
Thank you, Dr. Margot, from a destination marketing perspective. Your thoughts?
You heard it, so I'm just going to bring everything together. When it comes to herbal medicine, I think that is some traditional herbal medicine, and the bush tea culture, especially something that we have to maintain and bring back. I mentioned earlier, there's nowhere I've seen where you can just pick your tea from the tree. It doesn't have to come from a packet. You add some hot water and then you drink it right there. We also have the river therapy, the freshwater baths, and so that is something that is very unique to Dominica. We have the hot springs and the sulfur spas that can serve as a form of wellness and therapy. And all that goes back to our centenarians. In Dominica, you can live long. You live long and you live healthy, and Dominica is an example of that. And all of this is nestled and coupled into our community-based living, because in order for us to speak wellness, a lot of our tourism is community-based, and we need to go into the community and expound on that. Really define, it's not just taking a bath in a sulfur spring or taking a bath in the river or saying we have over 1,200 species of plants. It's about defining, going into the context and content of what those things there mean and what it can be for the individuals coming in. And you heard it from the gentleman here, let's go from being ill to heal.
Thank you. We've spoken about wellness experiences and traditions. I'd like to explore the impact of those experiences we have, or rather, the impact of those experiences we can have. Question to all the panelists. Can you share a moment that demonstrated the transformative impact wellness can have on someone's life? Go ahead.
I can give sound somebody. All right, we don't have this, right? One of the examples that I can give, during COVID, I started a meditation channel. I started it on YouTube because I thought that people who are going to online to find some short moment to realign would help them. So I started creating short meditations, and I started putting them online. The channel was growing. I was mentioning it grew to 200,000 followers organically. And I was always amused reading the transformational journeys that people would report, because as putting content online, I don't have a sort of a chance to monitor what's their journey, right? I can only reflect on what they say. And they were reporting an interesting thing. So I particularly remember this one story. A woman said that she had a ringing in her ear. It was like really annoying. And she went to doctors. They said they could not help her with this. So she started meditating. And after 2 weeks of meditating, the ringing was gone. And stories like that, they are very common, right? So going back to Dominica, we have lots of guests in the Intercontinental that come, let's say, to Jungle Bay for a retreat. Then they move to the north to explore the north. And what I observe often is that especially people who are having challenging moment in their life, let's say cancer, right? Or they have a crisis in their life, like loss of a loved one, a relationship, especially women, elder women, on their spiritual journey as now a solo person. And many of them report that coming here to Dominica and having those personal experiences with healers here in Jungle Bay, with people in the north, they did found this door to continue. They got the ideas to move on. And I think these reports, because they are many, are also something we should look at.
Ellen, your experience?
Well, I will say that, like you rightly said, I have worked with a lot of guests, both local and foreign, from the international community. And it's really about, so a lot of times when people are not feeling well, they may not know where it's coming from. They may not know the root cause. So one of the things that's been, is making time for self, to give yourself enough time to figure out, to go through the wellness, I call them precursors, to get to your health. Because if you have experienced good health, optimal health, where you have no pain, no inflammation, your digestive system is working well for you, no brain fog, so you're pretty much in your optimal health. And you don't have that. In Dominica, yes, we have the natural environment, but you still have to know how to use it for it to make an impact of health related. So your wellness technique would be, say for example, breathing in the forest, or breathing by the river, or breathing by the ocean. And these three ecosystems work differently on your body. So again, making the time to consult with somebody who may know more, or investigating, researching, seeing who may have similar stories, and finding what will work for you and putting it to the test and having the patience. Again, slowing down. You really cannot get well if you're rushing, because then your nervous system is just really just in its fight or flight. You're overthinking, so your head space is not in the correct, I would say, form to receive healing. So really the first thing is to make sure that you are making time for yourself to get to health by doing the wellness that is so abundant here.
Thank you, Marva.
I'll give you two true stories. I remember as a child, my parents always, like I said, traditionally, we've always heard about Dominica being a healing destination. And I remember this lady, she's probably in her 60s, 70s now, who suddenly woke up one morning and she couldn't feel her legs. And she came to Dominica and she took a bath in our sulfur springs. And suddenly she started having these tingly feelings. I mean, it didn't completely heal her 100%. To this day, she says if she had just moved to Dominica, probably she would have regained it fully. But I've heard of those types of stories firsthand. Recently, not too long ago, there's this young man who got into a very, very bad accident in the United States, like really bad, where they had to go back and fix his nerves, and so I'm not a doctor, so I cannot give the details. And he came to, they told him he'll never walk again. And he made it his duty to get to Dominica, and he spent about a week going to the sulfur springs consistently. And he's walking normal these days, and he tells you after going through that journey, that is when he started to feel himself again, you know. So, I mean, what we have in Dominica is natural, it is God-given, and if we have the ability to help people to move from one state to a much better state, then that is definitely something that has to be amplified in our messaging.
Yeah. Thank you. Disha?
It is important to acknowledge that knowledge is power. And whenever you are empowered, you have less fear. My experience with a Canadian tourist that was walking through the trails, so the segment in Trafalgar region. This individual was brought to me by her tour guide. And this individual had red spots all over her body. She got a rash from whatever she touched or whatever that was, you know, that make close contact to her skin. Or she could also injure something. But I wasn't aware of what caused the condition. But with the knowledge of herbs that I had, accessibility, I could go into my backyard and pick some branches of a herb specifically for skin disorders, for allergic reactions, we call Cassia lata. Anyone knows that herb? So definitely, so I could go and pick some of the leaves and extract the chlorophyll from this plant and create a medicine for this individual. By the next day, this individual came to visit me and gave me a big hug and said, thank you, Deja, and wanted to be a student of mine. So I'm saying to us that the preservation of our indigenous knowledge, it brings healing. And healing is a commodity that is priceless. It is seek for. Persons who spend their last earnings for healing. And in Dominica, as I said to you, I don't have to go to the pharmacy if I'm in the jungle, if I'm in the forest. I don't have to go to any medical doctor and have an appointment made where I'm suffering now, I want it now. And in Dominica, we have that privilege. But the knowledge comes first. That is why we've discovered Dominica. I think the first initiative should be an initiative that embarks on education, awareness in our communities. Because we speak of wellness. Are we a well people? Are we a well nation? That's the narrative we use. But on the ground, the reality of our existence, are we? I would say yes, we are well people. But we have been importing disease. We have been sacrificing our culture for a Western lifestyle. The culture that we are speaking of that is so endowed with a treasure trove of resources, affirmations. We have to put the horse before the cat and get the true essence of the term healing. So we need to preserve this knowledge and make sure this knowledge is handed down, most importantly, to the generation to come. Many more I could add, but that's my conclusion.
Thank you, Reno. Dr. Lockhart, can you share a story on experience? Can you hear me, Dr. Lockhart?
It looks like it's frozen. Is it? Oh, no, it's not. It's moving.
We'll get back to Dr. Lockhart. I want to thank the panelists for sharing those experiences. Let's now turn our attention to the opportunities wellness tourism can create for our people and the communities. Marva Williams, if wellness tourism continues to grow, what could success look like for an average Dominican 5 years from now?
As we said earlier, wellness tourism always existed within the destination. The intention is to define in a more traditionally authentic way what wellness tourism is. And anyhow we define it, we're going to see more circulation of whether it is knowledge and even dollars in the economy. Our farmers primarily would benefit from wellness tourism. They've been benefiting from it, but being able to present herbs in the manner that we've heard is an added bonus. It's going to benefit hotels, restaurants, and all the individuals involved in the wellness sector. Like, I'm looking forward to being a student of yours, sir, if you don't mind. I understand that knowledge is important, and it goes back to local herbalists and wellness practitioners. They too are going to benefit from the rise of wellness. The young people, I remember speaking to a team of wellness individuals, and we spoke about forest bathing. Forest bathing is something as well that has been quite therapeutic and successful in Dominica, but we do not have somebody now, individuals now on island who can give that sort of experience to individuals now currently doing it.
Yes,
I know
of
it's
course,
on a pause, but she needs to pass on the baton. And then we have to educate our youth on those types of employment as well, that it exists. So that can go down from one generation to the next. And then wellness moves again to the products, the crafts, and all the different offerings. We have some of our providers here, like Nova. What's the name of her company? Where is she? Eclat Nova, right? They too are all from, and Jill is saying how beautiful her skin is. Mine's too, girl. So they too form part of the whole wellness offering. So the greater demand there is for wellness in those different formats, the more it is going to benefit the communities and hence the destination. Yeah.
Thank you. Ellen, your thoughts?
Okay, so you mentioned forest breathing, so let me just make a little side note. So in Dominica, forest breathing is actually a Japanese wellness modality. Forest breathing, forest bathing, but this fits perfect in our nation because it is just, you were immersed in it immediately. So the awareness of what you're immersed in, that's where the education comes in. What exactly is being released by these trees that you're in company with? If you're in company with bamboo, they're going to be releasing different pheromones, different nutrition for you, versus an oak tree, or you know what I mean? Any type of tree has its own medicines that it releases into the environment, and you breathing that in, it goes, certain parts of it goes into your brain, certain parts goes into your digestive system. So there are different things that are that you would need to know so that you can have the experience to be a bit, you know, kind of more engaged and more conscious and aware. But without that knowledge, going into the forest, sitting with the trees, communicating with them, whether energetically or with your own words, you will definitely get the health benefits without knowing. But it's just really good to know what you're getting into, what that experience is supposed to feel like. Yeah. It's like getting a massage, right? You know you're supposed to fall asleep sometimes. You know you're supposed to be relaxed when you get up. You know you're supposed to feel better. So the forest can give you a similar experience, but added knowledge just helps to make it better.
Thank you. Beyond economic opportunities, wellness tourism may also influence how we live and care for ourselves. Dr. Lockhart, can wellness tourism encourage healthier lifestyles among residents? And how can we ensure locals benefit from the same experiences promoted to visitors?
Well, I'm happy to answer. I'm very happy you asked that question. Because the wellness tourism and natural wellness is not something that we should sell to others, but it's something that we should practice for ourselves. So this will definitely help us to encourage their lifestyles. We have, in order for wellness tourism to succeed, we have to invest in community wellness programs. We have to invest in push and support health education, which, interestingly enough, is the work that I do. And so we have to promote access to nature-based activities. We have to incorporate and involve local schools and community groups and villages, all that need to be included. We have to promote local foods and traditional knowledge. And when we connect all these dots, that will definitely promote a healthy lifestyle for residents as well as visitors. And essentially, we have to improve our natural and our national well-being, not just for visitors, but for us. We have to come first, we have to come first. And that's the only way wellness and tourism can work. We have to reflect it.
And thank you, Dr. Lockhart.
So it definitely can benefit us.
Reynolds, your thoughts?
Let's speak of resilience. Resilience is a thing that we have been hearing very predominant on our media space. It can create a sense of resilience amongst the people, amongst our citizens. It can also create more innovation. Because as I said, I could go into my garden from a leaf to a cream, from a leaf to a salve, from a bark to a powder, from a root to a tincture. So this innovation that we have the privilege to tap into with the awareness and a deep sense of consciousness, I think that will invoke, some innovation in our people. Because the fact of the matter is that we have a lot of resources that are going to waste. And I could say to you, a perfect example is our coconut. Our coconut, which is in my mind, part of my mind, I'm lamenting. I'm lamenting of the fact that we thrive on coconut products once upon a time. And we were told by those that chose to, I'm told be careful what I say. But we were told, or we were given false narrative by those we trusted in, stating that our coconut oil is carcinogenic. It will clog your arteries. It is high in bad fats. The flip side of the story, 30 years after, we're hearing that coconut oil is the most superior oil in the world. Are we producing coconut oil in Dominica on the scale that we used to produce it? So imagine, 30 years after, or 30 years before, we bought a bottle of coconut oil for $15. 30 years after, guess the price? It has quadrupled the price. In our imaginations, we could all imagine if we had remained in our coconut industry, how innovative, how affordable, and how our people would be thriving on their health, because the repercussions for disregarding our coconut oil, we took on soya oil, we took on corn oil, we took on canola oil, we took on vegetable oil. You want me to stop? Or should I continue? So I'm saying our citizens will benefit greatly if the awareness is spread amongst different groups, communities, and let it be a bombarding statement on the media. So people, the more you hear a narrative, is the more it becomes part of you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Reynolds. Mava, your thoughts?
I just wanted to say the totally agree with everything that is being said. And one of the reasons for the Ministry of Tourism emphasizing the need to speak about wellness and really go after wellness as a pillar of tourism. The intention first was to start with the education and communication among Dominica. And that is why we're having that panel discussion today. We would have heard remarks from our health officials about the state of the people in the country and the need to really, really go back to our roots. And that is why we're having that conversation. And this is a starter. It is going to continue. And we're looking forward to the panelists and those we've spoken to, some of them like Africa, they're there as part of the onlookers today, and those who are listening. We're really looking forward to hearing from you and working alongside you in the next couple months and years on strategies on how we can first educate the community. And educating the community, you've heard it, is going back to our roots. It is not something new to us, going back to our roots, making use of what we have, taking care of ourselves as a people, actually living where you vacation. Taking care of yourself means being able to do what it is that you will tell the tourists to do, drinking the herbal teas, taking the baths, and becoming a more knowledgeable, and also being aware of a thing called mental health. It exists. A lot of us are absent-minded when it comes to the fact that mental health is an issue, and it exists. Once we are able to acknowledge all these things, what exists, what it is that we can do as a people to take care of ourselves first, and that is the reason for that, not to sell anything to anybody overseas first. It is to take care of ourselves first as a nation, and then we'll be able to translate a well-taken care body who is knowledgeable, and who is not absent-minded. Then we can transfer that information to the people that we expect to come to our destination, who are also nature-minded and willing to take care of what we have.
Thank you, Marva. One concern often raised about wellness tourism is that it can sometimes be exclusive or accessible to a small segment of society. Marva, back to you. Wellness, what can we do to ensure that, or how can we ensure the benefits extend to communities across Dominica and not just a few businesses?
I don't think wellness is exclusive. We started speaking about wellness from the very beginning. It's right there. We just have to tap into it and make use of it. Some of us, when we wake up in the morning and we open our back door and you're surrounded by banana trees and plantains and watermelon trees and guava trees, that is wellness. The wellness is there, it exists. We just have to tap into it. And again, it goes back to bringing back that education component within the communities of letting people know what is in their surroundings. If you live in a small village like Pishley and you're able to wake up in between two mountains that are very green, that is part of wellness. You breathe in that fresh air. If you're a few steps behind your house, you're able to, take an early morning river bath or so, that is wellness. What we have to do, and we heard from the panelists, what we have to do is educate ourselves on what exists within our environments and also to take care of it. And that is where things like littering and so comes into play, not sitting on a bus and then throwing your plastic bag out of the window or putting your refuge in the river that somebody else, the lower down, is using and just throwing things here, there, and everywhere, So these are the things that we have to be aware of. It is not exclusive. Look, we're at Jungle Bay. Wellness is all around us. Jungle Bay promotes farm to table. We got a nice little tour at Intercontinental recently. Intercontinental as well has a health and wellness component. You go to other hotels like Fort Young, like Rosalie Bay. All of them have been able to include that sustainability and wellness aspect. It's always been there in Dominica. We see it in our videos. We've been speaking to people about it. We tell them, we came from Dominica. We have 365 rivers. We're very mountainous. We have all the sulfur springs. We've been speaking to people about it, but we've not been defining it in a manner that speaks to rejuvenation and revitalization and getting back to an almost perfect self. And that is what we have to spread locally. We have to encourage all our college students to walk a bit more. Go to the sulfur springs, practice drinking the teas in the morning before schools and before school, and then that will translate to our visitors. But it's not exclusive. It's here, it exists, and it is available for every person in Dominica.
Ellen, your thoughts?
Well, for me personally, so I lived in the U.S. prior to coming home in 2016, and pretty much what I do here is what I did in the U.S., just in a different environment, and trying to pull together what I do here in the U.S., in Arizona, which is the desert. It brings you into a different way. So you can so by no means is our nature, it's beautiful and it's abundant and it's amazing, but human beings have found wellness in all kinds of ecosystems, including the desert. The desert had its own particular medicines that I worked with the people over there, because like a bee, you kind of have to get the honey from your environment for it to work on you, because this is where your body is placed. And so everything in that space impacts your body. So now when we're in Dominica and we're doing wellness tourism and we have this tried and true areas that people can go to, as you mentioned, Fort Young, Secret Bay, these really were the ones I thought existed before I came home. I'm from the Southeast. I did not know much about Rosalie Bay because I left before they built. But I didn't see anything about Rosalie Bay, and I didn't see much about Dominicans overall. It really was just the big name properties that were being given view and given access to. And I thought that was doing a disservice to us in general, because those places always have an edge. So they will never fail, per se. But it is easy when you're smaller property or you're locally based or you don't have the advantage of getting overseas support. What is happening in these areas are just as important and sometimes even more profound, even more impactful on individuals, whether they are visiting or they're present, than some of the other, what's going on. So I feel like in the capacity that you hold, really getting a full layout of the land is very important for you to know this, because you will be called upon to pull these things together for creating this wellness tourism that's a pillar and takes Dominica to where it needs to be, because we have all of this here to support it. But again, the access, the positioning, and it's not positioning to be competitive, it is positioning to show the world that we have everything.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in terms of luxury, I'd like to add that working in the Intercontinental, right, we have many guests, and they're coming to what is a five-star hotel, but mostly all of those guests are looking very raw, authentic experiences. And so in the end, it's just being a hub from where those guests go to hike in Boiling Lake. They go for the Indian River, or they have a canyon, extreme canyon, right? Tour, right? That's the experiences that they remember, or they go to see the whales. So all of these things that in the end are about connecting to very real, non-luxury experiences, right? So, and in here I'd like to emphasize the importance of communication between all the offerings that we have, and it would be extremely useful for us to have that one unified catalog where we can go and we can see what we have, where we have it, and then average Dominican will benefit from it because he can be on that catalog. His business can be on catalog, and everybody knows, I just opened this app, we have a beautiful app, we can develop it, we can really make it abundant with the offers that we have. Everybody opens a Dominican, a tourist, doesn't matter, they go on the app and they see all the variety that is there, and it is there. We just need to communicate and put it together somewhere online.
That is it.
Thank you. As we look ahead, growth also brings responsibility. Antonina, as wellness tourism grows globally, how do we protect the authenticity of the experiences that make Dominica special?
Recently, I was talking to a guest who lives in U.S. but has Caribbean heritage, and she was giving me an example of Hawaii. And she was saying that Hawaii started off as this very spiritual destination. But overall, as they got commercialized, the land started being bought off by billionaires. And so what happened there, the land basically is occupied by these foreigners, right, that own the land, but you cannot even cross from here to there. And it's not exactly how it used to be when they started promoting. And so I think this question is extremely important, and it should be raised on the highest level, right, about how we Dominicans can protect Dominica from this thing to happen. Because just as Dr. Lockhart was saying, that Dominicans should come first in their wellness, in development of their abundance. And I think this is something to be raised on the highest level, but on the level of, let's say, Dominicans as a nation, well, I see Dominicans have a very beautiful part. They like communal celebration. And I would love to see how wellness from this like very niche component becomes something national, not only through natural grounding as it is in the tradition, but through celebration. If wellness could be celebrated and we could have a consistent event coming every year that everybody anticipates, just as like Jazz Creole, everybody prepares, I don't know, the specific like wellness outfits, or just, you know, a program, something that is not just like, oh, wellness, it's, you know, I feel that people sometimes are bored with the topic, you know, on average. And so making it more exciting, let's see, having morning talks of realignment. In 5-minute talk would be enough for people who are listening to reset and have this in the rotation, in the collective consciousness. And then we could have like influencers talking more about these things. We would educate about the diet that keeps you healthier, so that we can make healthier choices every day, and the businesses would respond, because if we ask for it, they would do it. Right? So I would love to see that consistent event yearly that we all celebrate in wellness.
Thank you. Dr. Lockhart?
Yes, well, so I'm fully respond. Yeah, you asked ensure that locals benefit just as much as visitors benefit. And we talked a bit about, you know, making sure everything is natural and local and nature-based and using what we have here. And then you asked how we could have all businesses, not just a few, to experience and to benefit. And, you know, Ms. Marvel talked about some very key things about, you know, pulling in what we have at the local level. And it came back to me when I was at the Secretariat at the OAS. We did some trainings in Barbados and in Antigua to train communities. And, you know, the question you asked about how we can protect what we have, the authenticity of what we have, is by recognizing that Dominica already has a strength, its uniqueness. Our uniqueness is the strength, and we have to protect that, and that is our authenticity right there. Our culture first, preserving what we have naturally and conserving our environment, and then building on how we connect those things to make it local and make it all encompass and make everybody be part of it. We have to, like Ms. Mala was talking about, encourage community-based tourism models. You know, people come spend a day in a village, for example. We have to train young people as wellness guides, you know, have certification programs for practitioners, for tour operators, you know, have workshops for farmers, how they can be part of the supply chain, and all those things will push the value for our authentic natural land that we have, because we have to keep it local. And then that will, you know, keep that authenticity. When we all understand what we have, and when we appreciate what we have, just like we did, and we made it a model, like when I ran that program in Antigua and Barbados, and then in Argentina too. When people start to realize that what they have is unique and authentic, it becomes something that spreads like wildfire. And it encourages more people to see it. So that's what we have to do. We have to make what is ours, ours, and champion it and understand it at the local level and push it through all the different areas, through the school programs, have careers in wellness and conservation and sustainable development, and make it what we do as a people.
Thank you. Reynald, any thoughts on what she said?
In my opinion, we have to start from the root. Authenticity starts from the root. And we all know that a tree without roots is dead. I strongly urge us to consider those that are on the ground, because though this knowledge is very scarce, but there are those that are boots on the ground. So investing, supporting those on the ground. Also, we mentioned the experience is predominantly felt in the hotels. But let's be mindful, the layman, which I represent, don't have access of this luxury to go to the hotels to experience such, such feeling of wellness. I would strongly advise that we go on the ground, have events, go to the local communities, even as we have the college. Let's have debates in the schools. What are the thoughts on bush medicine versus conventional medicine? Because we may say we are second to none and we have competitors. But the reality in the world is that nature is under attack.
Absolutely.
Nature is under attack. And the plan is man to better nature. So we have a duty to keep the original essence of Mother Nature. And the only way is not looking at the way the first world countries, interprets nature. But let's tap into the roots, those on the ground. We mentioned the centenarians. Are we supporting the centenarians? Are we highlighting the centenarians? Are we celebrating the centenarians? Because this is a living example that we have around us. Are we considering how they ate? Their mindset? Are we considering prayer? Are we considering the Creator? We have been speaking of the creation, but there is a Creator. There's a hand that has designed all these beautiful resources that we are discussing right now. So, taking this thing from a grassroots level and building it would be, to me, the ultimate way to preserve and to see that this knowledge, as Dominicans, it remains second to none when we start from the grassroots level. So let's put more support into those that have been toiling. I don't call myself, but I'm one of them. And there are many others that deserve. Just imagine, you're in this field for over 2 decades of your life. And you're hearing narratives, drink bush teas, and bush teas is the wonders of Dominica. But you're just struggling to preserve that knowledge on your own. Excuse for my tone. But this is me. You're discussing me, Dominica. I represent Dominica. And on Dominica, on a superficial level, the core, Dominica is a place for healing. We have this. You may say, what is luxury? Is it having money to buy fancy cars and going in hotels that has fancy pools? Or is luxury a state of mind? A peace of mind? With $1, you can eat your food. Dominica, we have that. What you could experience in the spas and pay hundreds of dollars, even thousands of dollars. Should I say we have it free of charge? No, you have to pay. But it is affordable. So I'm saying to us, tap into the communities, tap into the schools. Let's have that dialogue, debates. I strongly advocate for debates. And I'm willing to put my best foot forward to be part of that initiative. So let's look at the root of this topic that we are speaking of. And the root is our people on the ground, our laymen, the farmers, the gardeners. Let's look at the centenarians. Let's get the knowledge that they have. And from there, we have the ability to build on. Because in my opinion, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel have been invented already by our forefathers. We have the opportunity to be innovative and take it on the next level. But we cannot divorce ourselves from the root. And my beautiful people, this is the most authentic way I can present this to you. If the root is strong, the tree will flourish.
Thank you. Marvo, your thoughts?
Okay, let me just go back to the comment I made earlier regarding the exclusivity of wellness and reiterate that wellness is not exclusive to one part of the destination. And I actually want to applaud our hotels who were in advance, even before we started talking about wellness, they took the elements of wellness that we have and they've incorporated in what they offer to the tourists coming in, which is what I was referencing. I spoke about wellness amongst us when we get up in the morning, and some of our hotels have been able to take that authenticity and they've incorporated it in their packaging, which is an excellent thing. Which means when we're going to the grassroots, which we need to do, we need to educate. We also have to show people how they can benefit from what it is that we're presenting to them. It's a natural thing to them. It's natural to go to your backyard and make some bush tea. But how are we going to take what exists now, what these people are familiar with, and show them how they can further benefit from that, how they can create a business from it, how they can have their own community herbal gardens, where they can do wellness stores. I had a recent conversation with Miss Avril from Rosalie Bay, and we spoke about going into the communities and doing tours, and she emphasized, she spoke about everything that is happening in places like Delis and the surrounding villages that can become a tour where wellness is concerned, but the people have not been able to tap into they're like, what it is that you're talking about, how is that going to benefit me? So I think that the knowledge is there. We have to revive the knowledge, but we also have to show them how that thing that they have, that they exist in, that they wake up to every day, how it can translate into something that is beneficial to them, how they can benefit from it by sharing that knowledge within ourselves as Dominica and the people that we invite to come in.
Thank you, and thank you very much to all the panelists for your insights. At this time, we'd like to invite questions and comments from the audience. If you have a question, please raise your hand. The microphone will be brought to you. And before you ask the question, please say your name. Okay, we have someone at the back.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Cornell Charles. Today I am representing the Eco and Sustainability class of the Dominica State College, along with some of the other students and our teacher, well, our lecturer, Miss Melinda Serafin. My question, a bit broad, but kind of straight to the point. And I like the fact that he kept bringing up, the centenarians, because at the end of the day, the will, like you said, is already there. We just have to learn how to utilize it. You take a look around the room and there is a bit of a disconnect. The generation, there's a wider gap between the generations. And in order for us to get a better hold on what is to come, on the future, because at the end of the day, holistic health is the future. You know, what is the plan, or how do you get that connection between the older generation and the generation of now? What do we intend to do as people in the room right now? Because I mean, if my classmates and I were not there, you know, there would have been a less of this generation and more of that generation. What is the plan we have in store to make a connection? Too many times there is a disconnect, and this new generation is a little bit more at it on the screens versus at it here in these forums. What is the plans do we have to make a change for that?
Can I?
Thank you for your question, Cornell. Ellen?
I was actually, it's funny enough he's saying that, because a couple nights ago, I was having one of my lovely downloads. I have those a lot, honestly. It's good. And I was like, you know, we should have a senior reconnection, a senior connection, like all the seniors in terms of senior classes. So you have the younger generation. You have grade 6 as the senior class in primary school. You have fifth form as a senior class in high school. And then, of course, you have the graduating students of the college. You have the, you know, these are the seniors. And then you have the seniors themselves, the original senior older folks. Men, put them in a room together and have social interactions that is structured. Get this reconnection back, because we are a culture, we love storytelling. We love coming together around, whether it's a kudme or a one pot, or, you know, as long as something is organized, we tend to show up and participate and put our best foot forward. That's been our collective experience in Dominica with each other. And so the more that we can create these spaces for these things to happen and be fun with it. If I was older generation, I want to have fun with young people. I love being around young people. So just put me in the room with them when I'm older, and I'm going to feel good. Because they're going to be telling me stuff that will be highly entertaining to my sense of humor, I'm pretty sure. So just imagine there are people like that in the senior environment who would love the stimulation, because isolation is one of the quickest way to be mentally unhealthy. And our seniors, yes, we grew up in our traditional type of context where grandparents are looked after. But in this modern age, a lot of us are working, and a lot of our parents and our elders are aware of that. They're not holding us check about this, you know. But it is good for us to create community around them with the younger generations, to give them that boost. It's not just their nutrition that needs boosting, it's their vitality through their mind and their connection with others and their relationships and stuff. So that's what I was thinking. So.
Thank you. Any other responses from the panel? Antonina?
Yes, absolutely.
I'd like to build on that, and I agree that that experience of mutual enrichment happens when something happens on the communal level. So there has to be a venue when a consistent event is happening. So for example, maybe it's a venue in Roseau where there's a program, something happening, like a small class daily, a weekend program where, you know, knowledgeable people could be invited to share that knowledge. But definitely the venue would be very helpful.
Let me just...
Thank you. Mava?
That's a brilliant comment coming from the young man. And I mentioned earlier that what we're doing here is the start of a greater conversation that we will be having where wellness is concerned. And Dr. Paula Lockhart can speak to it. She's part of a committee which has been put together by the Ministry of Tourism. And the intention is to feed us and make recommendations on strategies in the short term, middle term, and long term that we will be able to implement to make sure that we thrive where wellness is concerned. And this intention, as I mentioned, is not only from a tourism perspective. The thought process in really elaborating on wellness has to do with the pronouncements we heard where our health and so is concerned. So the intention is to embrace everybody involved from an education level, from all the different pillars as it relates to that. And I love hearing from the team, and we look forward to really coming together and putting those strategies in place and seeing it unveil in the months to come.
Thank you, Dr. Lockhart. Your thoughts?
Yes, oh yeah, and Ms. Margaret said right there. Yes. Because, and to answer the individual directly, the goal for wellness tourism, it has to be to improve our national well-being, because tourism is not just to showcase, but it's for something to come to us too, you know, for that economic empowerment. But we have to use that as the opportunity to improve our well-being, not just for the visitor, but for us. So what I would say, we have to, when we begin to invest in the people, and we put it out there, that we push so that we as Dominicans understand that we as Dominicans have to lead and benefit from that industry. What we need to ensure is that every dollar spent by a visitor can create an opportunity for Dominican farmers, for herbalists, for artisans, for small businesses. And then we will see more and more, we have buy-in, more and more. It will become where we brand who we are, what we are as a nation. It becomes the whole, as Ms. Marvel was saying, and all of the above strategy. Because at the end, true wellness tourism is not just about attracting visitors. It has to be about creating healthier people, stronger communities, and more sustainable local communities and a local economy. Because if we cannot sustain it, then it doesn't matter. This whole thing does not be so true. To make it effective, we have to bring in everyone. Step by step, as this man mentioned, we pull in everyone, we pull in the communities, the school, and making all of the above strategy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lockhart.
Any other mistakes?
Yes, sir.
Put into this question. I think one this attention versus the young people with the elderly people, centenarians. I think as young people, highlighting the benefits of acknowledging how the centenarians live, the benefits, what are the benefits? Because one of the things that we have adopted is that a lot of abnormal feelings when it comes to health. For example, pain. For example, I could use a woman having a menstrual cycle, and she may have excruciating pain, severe pain, going for that period of time. Could you imagine the centenarians? They never knew menstrual pains. They never knew fibroids. They never knew cysts. They never knew PCOS. They never knew popping a painkiller, diclofenac, ibuprofen. Why? The benefits for the young people is to know that you can prevent all these conditions. It is not innate to who we are. So the benefits with the connection with the elderly is to receive the knowledge that can prevent such conditions. Because they are preventative measures. As a herbal practitioner, that's the goal. I'm not waiting until you get sick to attend to you. I prevent you from getting sick. So the centenarians, what are the benefits? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. The nutritional part of the equation. What did they eat? Young women, you are working on acne. Where did that come from? Love your beauty. The elderlies, they are the foundation of youth. They are the fountain of youth. So I'm saying to us, there's also another side of the equation. Prevention, prevention. And that is what nature does. Nature will simplify the complexities. So the centenarians, my good brother, they're treasure trove of tangible benefits that our young people can thrive on a healthier lifestyle, more energetic, free from disease. Because many of our centenarians, they don't know what is high blood pressure. Huh? They don't know what is diabetes. Are we asking ourselves these questions? Because people are dying from these conditions. While we have persons that are immune to these conditions, how do they get immune? So the benefits, we need to acknowledge what are the benefits we can receive that we may pass it on to generations to come.
Sure. Thank you, Reynold, for that response. Any other questions? Okay, one from a jail and then another from a college student.
I want to just go back to what he asked. And I think what he was asking is about disconnect. So the new group of people who are in college right now, they're very much more connected to the centenarians than millennials are. Because they're very much interested in going back to the roots, going back. And that is something, as somebody who's taught at universities, a lot of them are more grounded. They're more interested in healthy practices. They're more interested. They're very radical in their thinking. And there's been we've been stuck in, we know all of it because it was passed on to us. Our grandparents told us about it. But it's how we've transmitted the information and how we've lived our life is where the disconnect is coming. So they're seeing, oh, they heard all about the centenarians and they heard all of that. But our current lives doesn't really reflect that. What we're doing now. So we have a lot of talk. We know all the information. We talk about all of it, but we're not actively putting it into practice. So for them to actually, and that's what I got from what he asked, is like, they're interested in all of what we're saying. They want to do it, they want to learn it, they want to practice it, but we're not practicing it because we just talk a lot and we don't act. And then we have a lot of people who have all of the knowledge and they're exhausted because, like he was saying, nobody's invested in him and what he's doing in order for him to do well. So somebody like them can say, oh, my father did well in this, in herbs, so I can do it too. Because his great-grandmother lived to 115 years. So I have my great-grandparents lived to 106, 107 years, right? But am I actively practicing what they did so that my kids can want to do it? No. And okay, things have evolved, but nobody's teaching us how to move with evolution. Nobody's teaching them that. And that is where that is what I got from what he was asking. That is where the disconnect is. They're very radical in their being. They're ready to walk sasuli on the streets. My son, I'm telling you, they're ready to do it, but we blocking them because we're so caught up in, oh well, we have to do it properly, and there's no money, and all of this, and that is where the disconnect comes up.
Jill, thank you very much for your comment. Next question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kinaje Felix, and my question is, how can wellness experiences in Dominica move beyond past move beyond passive spa treatments to actively teaching visitors and locals the dietary and medical uses of local ingredients such as soursop leaves, sea moss, and turmeric.
I want to, Reynald, yes.
All fingers pointing at me?
Yes, we'll start with you.
I'll take it too.
Well, it comes down to education. You know, education, and as I've said already, that we need to approach this from the no, I'm speaking on the schools, primary school. Before primary school, we have preschool, primary school, secondary school, and we go to the tertiary education. So I think creating that environment where from the school, you know, that knowledge is being handed down to our younger generation. I think that you will be, you know, empowered to know what CMOS, what the wonderful properties of CMOS are, you know, and I could just expound on that for a minute, because CMOS is one of the marine plants we have that we consider to be a superfood. Are we consuming CMOS? Anyone in there, did you have a mug of CMOS for the morning? Excuse me?
I had guava juice.
So the benefits of CMOS is overwhelming. You know, when you look at your bones, when you look at boosting your immunological system, when you look at creating your body, which is a mineral factory, to work on an optimum level, CMOS is rich in calcium, which is good for your bones. You know, you mentioned turmeric. Turmeric is excellent. A good sauce that can actually destroy malignant cells. Are we aware of that? Or do we panic when we hear we have cancer? We panic because of lack of knowledge. So approaching this innovation through the school system, I think that is the best approach, in my opinion, to empower the young people, that they may be knowledgeable of the herbs and the plants in the environment.
Sure. Thank you. We take one more response. Ellen?
Okay. I was going to say, I love the idea of internship. I like the idea of internship. Rosalie Bay actually works with the college in the hospitality, and when they come out there, it is an opportunity for us who are in the environment, we do this as a normal, to pass that on. So it's not just that you're following us around, but you're actively participating. So if you come to the Glow Spa, for example, where I do the Rejuvenature program with our guests, and you come in as an intern, you would be making the teas in very quick order because you would understand what you're doing based on the program that's already structured for you to learn. So you will live there and compete with Deja. Real talk. You will be able to help somebody to heal inflammation, specifically where it is, with specific plans for that, or with specific protocols that heals that part. If you're looking for, there are people who come in who hasn't slept in, I'm not saying they haven't put their body on the bed, you know, I'm saying they haven't slept in weeks. So if an individual like this, you are diagnosing them immediately because lack of sleep for 2 weeks. There are so many things that are just malfunctioning at this point. You need the whole garden for them at this point. But you can only drink so many teas. Hence the reason why, as an intern, you will learn how to utilize what you have, the resources you have, and spread it so that it can support the progress of healing of this individual. So this is how we work with guests when they come to Rosalie Bay. And we spread it across the property. So this is not just happening in Glow Spa, in the wellness department. Housekeeping has their own to do. They got to make sure when the guest comes in that they have the essential oils popping. Just everything is so focused on ensuring that this person sleeps well while they're in Rosalie Bay. So this is definitely an opportunity. I encourage the college to, well, Mrs. Coppell is there. She's the GM. I can't say more like that. But we do welcome you guys to come in to learn as much as we can give to you.
Final reaction from Antonina on this question.
So I just wanted to bring back the point that Giles said, that if we have small businesses successful in these particular things, we will be more encouraged about them. They will be more encouraged to share that knowledge, and that is usually on governmental level. If we have lower tax for wellness niche, if we have like grants in that niche, programs that support, that would definitely help to boost.
Dr. Lockhart, you've been wanting to respond. I will allow. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So for me, the first question was so connected. The initial question about is that disconnect, and then the key right there, bringing things to the schools. And for example, the second point about how do we teach. For example, we worked, myself with Dr. Mr. Dave, I worked on a recent project. We put together this coloring book, an activity and coloring book about herbs and nature, conserving the natural resources in Dominica. And bringing those tangible things like education programs to the school, that is the key for reconnecting. Because if we have a disconnect, what we need to do is reconnect, and we start with the youth. And then the second question, the individual asked, for example, about STEAMOD, and that is funny because right on my desk, I have the STEAMOD page open. It's the first book that I wrote with Mr. Data. And again, it's about educating and bringing it to the people, sharing the knowledge we have. And that is how we would reconnect. And how we would teach is by documenting in books, in literature, in programs. For example, this summer we thought of having a natural health reset workshop and, getting the community involved. And that will help us to reconnect. That is how we teach, and that's how we move everything forward. And like Ms. Tony mentioned, finding the funding and the grants for that is key. So that's probably the missing link right there. Finding the right connection, finding the right sources and resources to do those things. Because we have the capacity to do it. We just sometimes don't have the funding resources. But it can be done. And we have to do it if we want to succeed.
Thank you, Dr. Lockhart. In the interest of time, we can only entertain one more question. We have a question at the back.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jerry Williams. I'm here on behalf of Atlantis View.
It's not so much of a question, but in regards to suggestion, after listening to everyone, I think Dominica, how should I put it? Dominica is wellness, and wellness is Dominica, in so putting it. And I think we are at a stage now where we can globally position ourselves to be, in as much as we speak about the nature island of the Caribbean, we are the wellness island within the world. We need to position ourselves, because when you Google the top wellness destination, we don't appear. But we have the natural elements to be the best within the region and globally. Now, I want to make, I'm a sports person, and I want to just make that suggestion that we need to start to position ourselves in the sports circle, in the sports world, where the athletes are now looking for longevity. They're looking for rehabilitation. Marvin mentioned about a gentleman who came down who was injured and used the sulfur spa to get himself back on his feet. We can use that natural resource that we have in Dominica to get our athletes, professional athletes, to come to Dominica. The other aspect is the creative industry, the music, the musician. Dominica, again, is a peaceful destination that we can promote to professional musicians, that they can come, write, produce their music in nature. So those are some of the elements areas that we need to look at. And another area is the corporate, the boardroom. We need to get our name, our Dominica, the wellness destination into. That is where most of the stressful moments are within the boardroom, creating, ideas for the next generation. These individuals need to reset. And we need to start to make Dominica as the place where you come to rehabilitate, to reset, and recover. And I think once we start to do that on a global stage, we would be out there as the wellness capital of the world.
Yay.
Thank you very much for your comments. Audience, thank you very much for your questions. Panelists, thank you so much for your insightful responses. Before we close, I have one final question for all the panelists. Please complete my question. Wellness tourism in Dominica benefits everyone because, Dr. Lockhart?
Well, it's a perfect close because wellness tourism in Dominica benefits everyone because it creates opportunities to improve our own health. It creates opportunities to strengthen community, to preserve our culture, our environment. Yes, to build a more sustainable future. If we do it properly and thoroughly, it will allow us to share the very best of Dominica with the world and improve our own quality of life. That is what we want.
Thank you. Reynold, wellness tourism in Dominica benefits everyone because?
Because it can bring more awareness, it can create a more health-conscious community. Also, it can give us the true meaning of what it is to be resilient.
Thank you, Antonina. Wellness tourism in Dominica benefits everyone because?
Because when everyone is well, abundance follows.
Thank you, Ellen. Wellness tourism in Dominica benefits everyone because?
Because this is where we can actually live it. We can, we can really just be that, because it's easy to do this in Dominica. The minute you wake up, everything around you supports that to the minute you go to sleep. So it's really about kind of making sure that what you bring into you works for you to reflect that health. But all of it is here.
Thank you, Mava. Wellness tourism in Dominica benefits everyone because?
Because it is an $800 billion tourism product globally that has benefited countries like Brazil and Iceland and Ireland, who has positioned themselves as wellness destinations. And if we're able to tap into that benefit and we educate ourselves and we see the future of wellness, we can bring out wellness. It's going to create economic growth for us. It will benefit our farmers. It will benefit our hoteliers. It will benefit our communities. People will start living healthier. People will start looking at their mental health. And, we're just going to have more circulation of dollars in the economy.
Thank you very much, panelists.
Always nice.
And thank you. Today's discussion has highlighted that wellness tourism is far more than the visitor's experience. It is also about the people, the communities, the businesses, the residents, and the traditional knowledge and natural assets that contributes to our well-being and the quality of life. I'd like to thank the panelists for joining us here this morning into this afternoon for their presentation. And thank you very much to all the audience who participated and to all those of you who attended. And thank you also to the media for carrying this event live. On behalf of the Ministry of Tourism and Discover Dominica Authority, I say thank you very much for your participation and support, and do continue to have a wonderful day. Up next, the space is still here for you to interact. There's refreshments to the back, and if you feel like stretching, meeting a friend, interacting with the panelists, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, guys.